Hi everyone. So in this video, I guess it's just gonna be one big bragging bragging fest about myself. I pretty much just want to share like where I come from, like my educational background and how I got into grad school. So basically, after high school, I started at Riverside Community College. Yes, I started at a community college, and at first I was really disappointed and ashamed about me having to go to a community college. And it's not because my grades weren't good, they were. And it wasn't because I was gonna say it wasn't because of money, but it was because of money. I actually really wanted to go to Biola University, and just my parents couldn't afford it. It was way too much. And starting at RCC, I became a student athlete. I tried out for their tennis team, and I made it. Honestly, the best 2 years of my life, but also like the most hectic 2 years of my life. Um, I was a full time student, a student athlete, and then I also worked like 30 to 40 hours a week, depending on the week. My job at the time, I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. I was there, I started off as a party hostess and I worked my way up to the, what's it called? Pretty much like the birthday manager. I was in charge of all the birthdays, right? And all of the party hostesses. And so it was very hectic. I was still able to keep a really strong GPA. I mean, right, because we had to. We were student athletes. But starting at RCC, I retook Calc 1. Actually, I started in pre-cal, which was also really embarrassing for me, considering that I took BC Calculus in high school, which is equivalent to Calculus 2, right? And so I was really ashamed of that. But also, afterwards, and even in the midst of it, I was super thankful that I restarted in pre-cal, just because it made me it forced me to relearn the things that I never took seriously in high school. So I had a stronger foundation in stuff like trig and trig identities and everything that I never took seriously. And so when I moved on to Calc and Calc 2 at RCC, my professor at that time, oh my gosh, I loved her. I forgot her last name, but her first name was Gabriella, Dr. Gabriella something. And the way she taught calculus, it was so intense and very, very just hard. It was like the hardest classes I've ever taken, and I mean, like I was an A student. Yeah, that those classes were really hard. I received B's and C's on the exams, but even though it was very even though it was a very humbling experience being in those courses, it really made my passion for math respark. And so when I applied to CBU, I applied as a math major and I got in. Um, and then at CBU, I started with proofs, Calc 3, and differential equations. I think were my three main courses my first semester at CBU. And I loved it, right? So basically, one of the main things I want to like embed in your head if you're thinking about being a math major, take proofs as soon as you can. If you don't like proofs, then the rest of the math world is not for you. Um, Calculus and trig, it's just like the basics, like the baby math compared to what you will be doing, which is proofs. And I honestly really love proofs, even though they can be really hard and tedious. Just the whole idea of them really excites me. But anyways, I was a really good student at CBU as well. I was no longer a student athlete, and so I actually worked more because going into CBU, I did have to pay for my tuition. I think I had to pay like 5,000 every semester, so I had to work a lot, and I did have to take out some loans. I'm currently like $22,000 in debt. So yeah, but anyways, I worked a lot to pay as much as I could without taking out more loans. and I was a really good student, even though I worked a lot. And I was pretty much, it wasn't until my last year that I actually started getting experience that I needed um, in order to apply for grad school. So, what I mean by that is my last year at CBU, I got offered to be a grader for, I think it was for calculus. Yeah, it was for calculus. I was a grader for Calc 1, and I did that for 2 semesters. So, my full last year, I was a grader. Um, and then also, I had research experience. So with Dr. Cordero, I worked on a research project with about baby buffaloes. So my last year I received work experience as as a TA, as a teaching assistant, and then also I had research experience. And those two things alone. Oh, and also I went to my very first math conference. I actually went to two math conferences. And literally all of this is due to Dr. Cordero. So once again, shout out to Dr. Cordero. You're literally like my hero when it comes to like where I am now. Like this is literally because of you. Thank you. I really am truly so grateful. So basically, like big picture, I went from having a really good GPA as a student athlete and working 40 hours a week to starting at CBU and then taking on even more work to pay for my schooling. And so when I was applying to PhD programs, pretty much my main hook in my personal statements was, look, I've done hours and hours a week of working so I can pay for my education, and I am 100% ready to make the transition of putting all of those hours that I put into work and finally being able to put them into my education um, to basically just learn math at a deeper level, right? Um, and I think that that was one of the main things that I'm so bad at finding words and how to say things. Um, I think maybe that was a selling point for some of the schools that I got into. Um, is just that how much of a hard worker I was, how much of a hard worker I am, and also it didn't it didn't hurt that I'm a girl and that I'm a Mexican Hispanic girl. Definitely an underrepresented group within STEM majors. And so obviously I can't ignore that fact. I think that's another big reason why I got a TA-ship, why I got full funding from ASU. But yeah, that's my story. That's how I got into grad school. And yeah, thank you for watching.